I'm your huckleberry.
This is the Smoking Guns Podcast.
No G with a Z, P-O-D, Smoking Guns Podcast, hanging out with you on this Monday night, talking about professional football in San Antonio, because that's what we do. We are the Smoking Guns Podcast, a podcast all about professional football in San Antonio, including the San Antonio Brahmas of the UFL, who just finished their first season of the UFL, second season overall. It's a weird story. Losing in the championship game, but making it all the way to the championship game. And we cover the San Antonio Gunslingers of the Indoor Football League, currently working their way through the final few weeks of the season, and they took a hard hit on Saturday night against the Frisco Gunslingers, and we're going to talk lots about that. My name is Philip Higginbotham. I am one of your hosts, and I'm joined, as always, by my good friends, Leo Yamas.
What's up, Smoking Guns Posse?
And R.C. Woods. The well-traveled
Hello, beautiful
R.C.
people.
Woods.
I missed you.
Yeah, only with us for a few minutes last week, but she's back. She's home. She's ready to talk about Gunslingers, but more importantly, there we go. We're going to talk in this first few minutes about not only the Gunslingers, but the six-shooters, because we have two of the six-shooters, leaders of camp leaders, and girls that are on the squad, I believe. We'll ask. We'll figure all of that out. We have Destiny and Michelle joining us. They were part of the six-shooters camp just a couple of weeks ago, and they're going to tell us a little bit about that. So, Michelle and Destiny, are you both on the six-shooters team? That's right? I didn't get that wrong, did I?
Yes. You're good.
Destiny, you've been with the team, with the squad for a couple of years now. Michelle, you are a rookie this year. Is that right? Do I have all that right?
Yes, sir.
Very cool. So tell us a little bit about Six Shooters Camp a couple of weekends ago. Was it fun, or was it really just a bore? We're just really not that interesting.
We
have a good time?
had a blast. I mean, we woke up super early and we got there, started decorating, getting everything ready. And we just started off like playing games with the girls. Everyone was just super excited. The nerves were a little like nerve-wracking coming in with, you're meeting all these new faces and then you have to dance. And what are we going to do today? What are we going to eat? I mean, we had so many questions from like the beginning, and we were like, okay, let's just break it down. But it was like an absolute blast. And for it being like, it was pretty much like half a day, but it felt like it was never going to end. Like, we had such a great time.
What time, what does the day look like? Like, what time did you guys start? What time did you guys have to be there to get everything ready and get everything started?
Do you want me? You got it, Michelle?
Sure, I can. Yeah. We got there at around 9 o'clock if we were kids camp leaders. And then we took initiative, helped out decorating. We had really nice balloon arches. We really wanted to make it a moment. And then we had practice actually after our camp. So our camp ended at about 2:30 p.m. But then we proceeded to practice until about 5-ish. So it was a long day for us.
Yeah, full day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, about how many campers in total did you guys have?
It was awesome. We had over 60 actually. So from what I understand last year, comparing the numbers, we doubled, I believe, right?
Yeah. I was like, because like you had how many girls in your group?
I had 25 for the.
Yeah, and I think so she did the clinic side. So the clinic side was for like the high schoolers and like the teens, and then I did the kids camp portion, which was for the younger, so like middle school, elementary, and then like minis. And I think it was about like 45, 50 for the kids camp, and then she had 25. So like we had a really good turnout this year.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
How big was your group, Destiny? You said you had 45 or 50 total. Did you have all 45 or 50 in one group? Surely you divided them up.
No, I think I was like, I counted every single room changes we did. So we had 15 in our group. And I believe it was like, I don't know if it was the largest group. I think the middle schoolers might have been 20, But I can tell you, with them having as much energy, it felt like it was the largest group.
Sure,
I was like,
sure.
so they gave us a run for our money, but it was so much fun.
Destiny, you had that younger crew. What's one of those stories that you're going to walk away, but years from now, you're going to remember this moment of this cheer camp, and what was one of those stories for you?
So Morgan, she actually made like custom tattoos for like gunslingers and six shooters, and like they were super cute. They had like so our portion was themed out like wild about six shooters, so it was very like kind of safari like with animals and cutesy stuff, and then the clinic side was more like Taylor Swift, like in your six shooter era. So it was very like cowgirl, like girly and all pink out. And so that's how like the tattoos were. And we like started off with just doing tattoos as we were like registering all the girls and getting them in one by one. And they actually like had a ball with them. I mean, they had tattoos on their arms, they had them on their legs. They were just like, I want more. Can I take some for my brothers? Can I take some for my sisters? And I was just like, okay, is your mom gonna appreciate this at the end of this? Like, and then they would ask, like, how do we take them off? I'm like, baby oil or rubbing alcohol. Just tell your mom and she'll know what to do. Like, do not try scrubbing this off in the restroom with water. Like, you're going to be red. But that was probably like the most fun. They just kept adding and adding. And I was like, okay, when are we going to stop tattooing each other?
Michelle, same story. What you had the older group, you had those clinic, you had those high school girls. What's a story that stands out to you, or something that happened for you guys over the day?
Well, for us, it was a little bit different. In the kids' camp, they had craft time, they had games, they learned to cheer. So obviously, because they have more energy, they need to air all that energy out. And then on my end, we were really trying to cater this clinic towards dancers who want to aspire to be either collegiate dancers or a pro dance team. So the day was kind of formatted where I taught and choreographed the pro style palm routine. Then we took a break. We had a Q&A where Coach Casey came in along with the helpers that I had, which were Emily and Carson. And we all kind of had a panel discussion about six shooters and beyond. And then we had a technique class that Coach Casey led. So they got experience with a professional head coach. And then we had a confidence boosting workshop where I created a packet and we talked about how to nurture confidence beyond dance, because, you know, unfortunately, performing does end at one point. And so how can we make sure that girls and young women really, they have the skills to have an identity outside of dance? And to me, that was the most special part because, you know, this is like my bias kicking in, but I was a former college English instructor. So I really appreciate writing, and I had them write a poem about who they were. And some of the girls got very vulnerable, very aspirational, very honest. So it was really nice to see the room kind of open up, because you could see the hesitation in their eyes initially. And then once we started really, you know, nurturing them and kind of giving them some food for thought, man, some of the poems that came out were really, really crazy. We had to condense it because of the time allotment, but I was really impressed with some of what I was seeing in the room, and I feel very privileged to have witnessed it.
That's awesome. Well, I know RC, she's like the biggest six shooters fan there is out there. You guys really mean a lot to her, and she always gets very excited. Unfortunately, it looks like she's having some technical issues right now. It looks like she dropped off, so we'll wait for her to come back. But I know one of the things that she's really proud of, and she likes to emphasize, is the difference that, you know, athletes and especially cheerleaders, and her, she calls herself, you know, the mama cheerleader, and she likes being a mama for the players. But and she's back, so I'm so happy you're back, RC. But the point I was making right now is or what I was going to ask was, as role models for these young kids that come in and look up to you guys, and you get these opportunities to kind of put your mark on them or their decisions in their future, you know, through this camp, and you get to spend this time with them and kind of see their faces and experience those things with them. How does that make you feel to kind of play that role? And what about this past camp did you kind of like, will you take with you and kind of to build that experience and build that role as a role model for these young impressionable kids that you get to do that for.
You want to go first, Destiny?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So like something that like I've always said growing up, like I never really knew what I was going to do with my career. I didn't know what my future held. But one thing that like I've been saying since I was very young was that I wanted to make an impact. Like just to know that someone grew up and they could remember my name. That's all I really mattered in life. Like money comes and goes, but happiness is always going to be there. And so seeing their smiles, and it could be from something so simple. They're looking at me and they're like, "You're so pretty," and I'm like, "No, like you are," and like their eyes just light up, or they're discouraged, like, "I can't do that kick," and I'm like, "Okay, let's just lower our kicks," and I'm doing the movement as low as them, and they're like, "Oh, this looks just like yours, like this looks great," and so like it's those small moments of those aha moments that like really touch home for me, and knowing like by the end of the camp when they're calling me by my name and they're telling me like bye Destiny, bye, like I made that much of an impact to where they remember my name walking out of those doors. And I promise you, like some of those girls, like they came from the games afterwards, they know who I am, and they came to the camps to come and see me too. So like knowing that they know who I am and they know my name, that makes all it worth it.
And then do I go?
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's a very different experience. Essentially, we're both just planting seeds at whatever given.
And you, Michelle? Yeah,
Arjun?
go ahead, Michelle.
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so we were really trying to simulate some things for the teens. And so we gave some stickers out during the technique classes. And as they were going across the floor, we were kind of simulating what tends to happen if they go to like a recruitment event and a coach really likes them, or if they go to a camp and they take a class. Sometimes there's a little bit of a spotlight moment for them. And then everybody, including the kiddos, they all came to the game that we just went through together. We suffered that loss together. We felt that heat, but it was a really fun game overall. And we had all of our campers in the game for Faith and Family Night. And I bookmarked it here. We had a page in the program because there's a program given every time that they attend a game. And we had action shots from the camp. So, we were really trying to be mindful of how we can really make this real for our dancers. Like you can be with us in the sidelines. You can get praise from a coach who sees potential in you. You can see yourself in a program. And so really just planting that seed that this is very possible if you nurture it. That was really, really important to me because some of my dancers were in the teen group. I'm a director at a local high school. And then I used to be a college coach. So, I just kind of really want to stress it's so much more accessible than we think. And if we just have some confidence and we really attack our goals, they can get there.
And so when you guys were growing up and wanting to be cheerleaders, did you ever attend a camp like this?
No. I attended like the high school clinics. I think I attended one. And then I aspired to like be on the high school team, which I ended up being. But as far as like going to a professional camp, no, I was like, no, I've never done it. I was like, but I would have probably loved it as a kid if it was more accessible. And like, I feel like this year with us, like posting and like, being more, vocal and sharing it a lot more, we got the word out a lot more. And so that's what really mattered.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. I'm from Laredo, Texas, so we don't have as many dance resources there. And I would travel. I did attend the San Antonio Spurs Junior Silver Spurs Dance Clinic. That's the longest thing I've ever said. And we performed at a Spurs game during halftime. And then, yes, I would attend clinics. And then I was also on the dance team at my respective middle school and high school. So definitely these experiences are the beginning. They give you that like spark and that fuel to keep going and chase what you want to do with dance.
Were there any dancers that competed, or went to the camp that you think might actually try out next year for the squad?
That's a good question. They were surprisingly asking a lot about six shooters in the Q&A. So what does our game day look like? What are the requirements? We had a really specific question. What do we have to do for conditioning? So there was a lot of interest actually. And so I hope so. I mean, that's the point, right? That we become a sort of resource or leader in the local dance scene for San Antonio. So we just had the biggest team this year at 17. And I don't know that we can get bigger than that, to be honest, with the field size, but to keep it that big would be incredible.
That's great. And so if there were some girls who weren't able to make it, is there another opportunity coming before the end of the season?
I believe Coach Casey is going to be starting to work on some prep classes that we'll have like with some of the older girls or even adults if they just want to come get a good dance session in. So usually we'll have one probably like towards like August, and then maybe during winter time we usually have another one, and then especially like right before tryouts. So just be on the lookout on our socials.
Yes, and I didn't even know that. In the Q&A, they were saying that in the prep classes, even if you're not of age yet, because you have to be 18 years old to be on the team, you can be 16 and attend the prep classes if you want.
Oh, that's great. And so what was each one of you ladies' highlight of the whole camp? If you had to pick one event or one moment that you were like, wow, that's really going to stick with me, what would that moment be for you?
So Michelle actually created these coloring sheets, and like they're all of each of us. Like I don't know how she did it, but she did it. And the girls came up to the table and like they handpicked who they wanted to draw and who they wanted to color. And so like that's a big moment because it's like, wow, like they're really choosing you. Like that's who they're looking up to. They want to draw you. And then like watching them finish coloring me and they're coming up to me like, look, it's you. And like super excited. Like that meant the world to me because I know that I'm making an impact on them, that they're wanting to color me and look like me. And they're even asking like, oh, what color is this part of your uniform? And what color is this? And then they take that home with them. So that meant a lot.
For me, it was seeing just like the light bulb turn on, sorry, not off. We want it on. And specifically for me, this is like Mama Bear mode being activated. But I mean, my dancers that came to clinic, I really appreciated what I was seeing in the room, man. I just felt so proud seeing them strut because we did entrances and exits that were pro style. And it was just really awesome to see everybody open up.
Yeah.
Very cool. So tell me a little bit about game day or what the process is like for you guys to be involved and at the game. Are y'all able to pay a lot of attention of what's going on the field, or are y'all do you have so much else going on getting ready for the next thing, for halftime, for this and that you're just not able to engage in the game as much? What's that like for you guys?
I'm like, you asked the perfect girl. I am like the biggest football fan like out on the team probably. And so the girls know like look at Destiny, like what's happening now? So I am literally always watching the game like, and I was like, if you see me really, really into it, I might be a second off when starting my next dance, but it's just because it's so good. But that's probably it for me. But other than that, I feel like bummed out. Like when we go and do halftime and I come back, like I'll ask either Jordan or April, I'll be like, oh, like, how was the halftime kick? Or like, when are y'all gonna do it? And they're like, oh, we already did. I'm like, why did I miss it? Like, and they're like, you're dancing. And I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. But yeah, I do get really, really into the game that I forget. I was like, I am dancing, but football does mean a lot to me. So
yes. And I mean, I'm super about the games too. They keep you on the edge of your seat. I mean, like we were saying at the very end there this past week, it was devastating.
Heartbreaking.
But okay, we'll recover. And we are very attentive because we also have to like know when to start certain routines, right? We have to be paying attention, add energy when they do the little defense moment. So we have to be alert. But we are running around. We throw T-shirts. We sometimes honor certain VIPs in the arena. And what else have we done? We've helped with like certain
handing out swag bags in the middle of the game. And
correct. So it's you're never ever bored. I'll say that. And
never. Never.
It's really cool.
One of our patrons, one of our good friends, Texas Pete, has a question. He says, do you ever get to travel to away games? And is there some sort of IFL competition or is there some
Award.
sort of notice that the league gives, an
So-
award that the league gives?
So away games, the goal is we make the playoffs and we can travel for playoffs. And that'll be our first time ever traveling. So that is the goal.
Okay.
As far as cheer competitions, there's not really one, but there is an award. They usually say it's like the I don't know the official title, but it's usually like the most classiest and like best cheer team in the league.
Uh-huh.
And so this will be our first year with IFL. So I don't know how that works this season. If it's like, is it all the owners that vote or is it like the fans?
Right.
Not really sure how this one works with the league. But no to the competition. So hopefully for an award, because I mean, it's nice even like when other teams are coming in, they're even complimenting us as like our cheer organization and stuff and saying like, y'all are really, really good. And y'all are really great at cheering and like y'all are respectful and everything. So those
they've even
compliments
said-
go a long way.
They've even said, you guys are my vote for the best IFL team.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Oh, that is
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, you ladies absolutely should win that award or be top contenders. I can't give enough compliments to what you ladies are doing during the game. Like you said, so much that you guys are involved in during the game and having to dance and pay attention, hand out the swag. And I see some of you guys taking pictures with fans as you're out there in the stands. And there's just so much going on. And you always do it with such class, professionalism, the showmanship, and everything that you all do. The production is just top notch. And I'm not surprised to hear that there were some girls at the cheer camp that were asking some very specific questions, and like they had the goal in mind to maybe one day try out and be a six shooter, because what the six shooters have done in such a short period of time, as someone who has watched local sports, back with the Silver Dancers and just multiple organizations, you ladies have just really elevated the six shooters organization and the Gunslingers like straight to the top as far as professionalism and showmanship. It's amazing what you ladies do. Honestly.
That means a lot.
Yes, I really appreciate that. But number one, before it slips my mind, I want to just give a shout out to Texas Pete. He was saying that he was very moved by the military appreciation cards, and it was just such a joy to write those, and it's the least we could do for your service. So thank you so much.
Yes.
Another thing that I want to say is that, of course, we love being six shooters, but I really, really just want to give credit to the Gunslingers organization and specifically to Coach Casey, because none of this growth in such a short time span would be possible without the buy-in from the leadership up top and then from our coach who executes the vision that she has. So we're definitely the faces, and we definitely put in the sweat equity, right? But it's a village to bring this program up. So I'm very, very grateful.
Well, ladies, we really appreciate your time. We're so glad for what you do, not only jumping on the show with us for a few minutes, but the fact that you spend a whole day passing on your love for what you do to the next generation and spend a day with them. That's a day that many of those girls will hold dear in their hearts for years and years and years to come. They made huge memories in that one day, and what a great way to spend a Saturday. And I love the fact that when everybody gathers on the field at the end of the night after a game, win or lose, there's always players and families gathered around football players and coaches, but also our cheerleaders taking pictures and getting autographs. And you guys are just as big a part of the show as those guys who play and coach and all of that. And I think you see that in that moment. There are just as many folks that are excited to spend time with you as there are guys that want to spend time, folks that want to spend time with the players on the field or Coach Manas. I think that's really cool that is what that means. And Coach Casey does a great job. She's watching and she's proud of you guys and all of the girls that are six shooters. And we couldn't be more proud of the squad that you guys have put together.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it. And thank you for giving us some space here on the podcast. I mean, this is the second time in this season. So that speaks volumes of you guys and how much you are helping us. So thanks.
You bet. Well, we're going to let you guys go. I'm sure you got other things to do tonight, and we're going to have some conversation about a football game that didn't go exactly the way we had it planned.
Yeah.
And we're going to discuss that a little bit. Thank you so much for everything that you ladies do for San Antonio, for the Gunslingers fans, for the Gunslingers organization. We really appreciate just who you are and who you hold yourself out to be. Thank you so much for being a positive thing that our community can look up to and be a part of.
Likewise.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye. Have a good day.
Bye. Thank you.
Destiny and Michelle, part of the Six Shooters organization. Really enjoy having them. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about that game against Frisco. I've got thoughts. I know Leo's got thoughts. RC, I'm sure you've had a chance to catch up with bits and pieces of that game. You've been traveling a lot. We're going to have some conversation about what that game was and what it means, because there's lots of conversation to be had all the way around that. Smoking Guns Podcast. Hang with us. We'll be right back right after this. Smoking Guns Podcast, Philip Higginbotham, Leo Yamas, R.C. Woods, hanging out and talking about football, talking about Gunslingers football, although I do want to take a quick detour and say congratulations to the San Antonio Warriors. They won the BSFL championship. That's one of the semi-pro teams in town. We have lots of folks that have been connected with the Gunslingers organization that have come through the Warriors organization to wind up there. So that's a team that we connect with, and we're proud to know that they were able to get their championship. That's a big deal. No matter what level of sport you play, it should always be a big deal. Do you hear that, Chase Garbers? Do you understand that no matter what level you're on, the championship should be? Anyway, I'm going to stop. It's been.
We're not going to go back. We're not going to go back.
Bless your heart, Chase Garbers.
Got to stop sometimes. So let's talk about the game on Saturday. Frisco comes into the Freeman Coliseum and takes a 58-57 victory in on the last play of the game.
Oh,
You can't even say his time expired because it expired. It was like that was like the longest play
ever.
Yeah, it felt like an eternity watching that breakdown, and then the result of it was absolutely crushing.
Heartbreaking.
Yes.
It was a heartbreak. It was a heartbreaking game. I've been a part of some heartbreaking games before. College, high school, obviously in the NFL, if you're a Cowboys fan, like every playoff game where you get knocked out is a heartbreaking game. But this was tough. This was one of those tough ones. There was a lot on the line for the Gunslingers. We're going to talk a little bit about that in the next segment, but this was a tough one because they really did. It felt like had it won, like it was done, it was finished. It's only something miraculous is going to change the outcome of this game. And sure enough, just a crazy last second toss to a really weird spot of the end zone. Did it go off the wall before he caught it? Did it not? Who knows?
It didn't. It didn't.
I mean, I am very glad that Tom Manas threw the challenge flag in the end and said, "Hey, look at it. I don't know that it's going to change a thing, but I'm going to challenge it and make sure that's the right call." You have it. You have the availability. Great call by him. Second challenge of the night that he lost. We just can't get any wiggle room from officials in the IFL, man.
You're telling me, man. I mean, first of all, let me just digress a bit. I have to. That ending was so crushing and just demoralizing. I hadn't seen Lolis upset about a football game. That upset about a football game. Well, I can't really say in a long time because there was one a couple of weekends ago that was pretty upsetting. But I mean, like an instantaneous. That was kind of like a slow burn where you kind of watched in the progression and just got angrier and angrier. And this one, it was just like such an exciting and back and forth experience and just so much going on. It was like a legitimate shootout. And then when you feel like you have it right there, and then Loli's just like lost it at the end of the game. Multiple expletives that I have not heard her say in quite some time, but it was she was obviously very upset as many of us were. But to the officiating, you hate blaming a loss on the officiating in any game. We've talked
Right.
about that before. Like you can control what you can control, and that's what you need to do. And I'm not going to go that far as to say it was the officials' fault. It was the fault of the officiating that the Gunslingers lost that game. Obviously, they need to do better defensively, but you can also come away from that game with a really sour feeling in your gut and just feeling really upset because the officials certainly gave the Frisco Fighters every opportunity they needed to keep this game within striking distance and to eventually take that win away from us. I went back and I went through the play-by-play on the website, on the IFL website. If you go back and look at the game stats, so you go by play-by-play, and I counted because it seems so one-sided to me. I counted the penalties, and if you do that, you'll find it was 13 penalties called in the game against the Gunslingers versus 5 for Frisco. And of those 5, only 2 counted because the other 3 were either an offsetting penalty or were declined because the Gunslingers, were able to score on that possession. So really they had 2 penalties the entire game that cost them anything, while the Gunslingers had 12 of their 13 because that 13th was an offsetting the dual unsportsmanlike conduct there at the end. But that is extremely lopsided. And
Extremely.
to the credit of, are the Gunslingers really that undisciplined, I guess could be a word, or that bad at keeping from, these penalties, which we've talked about in the past before?
We have.
Or is it the officiating? I mean, I can tell you right now, there was one, and Philip, I don't know if you saw it from the broadcast, and it was late in the 4th, I want to say.
I know what you're talking about. I know where you're going.
The long pass that would have been a touchdown where I think it was Naquan Murray. It was either Naquan Murray or DJ, but I think it was Naquan who obviously blatantly got held and bumped from his route and didn't make it to the end zone to catch a very catchable ball, with the official standing 10 feet in front of me, seeing almost the same angle that I'm seeing, and not doing anything about it, not throwing his flag. It was absolutely atrocious. And it was just things like that just really left a bad feeling in my gut leaving this game. Go ahead.
I make so many excuses for officials because I don't believe that you can ever blame officials. I don't think you can blame officiating or a loss on officials. You can't control that. You just have to tighten up and play a better game. But I will say that seeing that play that you were talking about, Leo, changed my mind, at least for this game, because it was so blatant and so clear that a receiver got interfered with and there was no flag. Like, there's no question at all that there's pass interference on this play. None. And there's not a flag. There's not a discussion. I will also tell you that the first challenge that Coach Tom Manas threw for a receiver in motion past the line of scrimmage, and they came out and they said the call on the field stands. I don't believe they confirmed it, but they said the call on the field stands. There is no way. I get lucky. Being in the broadcast booth, I get to see the feed that they have down below me.
Mm-hmm.
They run that up to our booth, and so I can't broadcast it. We can't do that. We just don't have the ability to put out what they're seeing, but I can see it. They never even looked at an angle that would have given them any kind of indication. Whether there was, never saw it. All they got was tight behind the quarterback, the offensive line. You never saw what any of the receivers were doing in the view they looked at. We never saw Austin Wright never got an opportunity to overturn the challenge because there was no angle of video that he was ever shown that gave that ability to overturn.
Well, I know I didn't see the whole game in the entirety. I was busy at a wedding, but I saw highlights. I was following the score, and there were times where I did see the score. I thought we had a good chance. I really thought we had a good chance to win the game. And even towards the end, it may be I might be cursed because I said, "Oh, we got this." And I never went back. And then when I went back later, I was so heartbroken because I was like, we had this. And I know I didn't see probably all of these 13 penalties. And I don't want to sound like a whiner, but it almost seems like they had an agenda, like the refs had an agenda even before the game has started. Now, maybe point the fingers at me, tell me, how can I say that I wasn't there? But from what I've heard, what I've seen, it just was, like Leo said, too lopsided. Like it was just almost blatantly obvious to me that they were not being fair.
Well, on those penalties, go ahead.
Mo Ferrante brings up Kali's return for a touchdown called back. I will tell you, I haven't gone back and watched the game film, but that didn't surprise me. On returns, you typically, you check the flag for field for flags on any return because there's a good chance that a block in the back or a holding happens somewhere along the way to give you the path. So that didn't really surprise me. That hurts. And that's no fun. We are the only team in the IFL, according to Ralph Judkins. We're the only team in the IFL that does not have a return for a touchdown this season. And we have Kali Rashad back there. So that just doesn't make sense.
It was heartbreaking for that one to get called back. I remember I was cheering and throwing my guns up, and Lolis was like, "There's a flag on the field," and I said, "Yeah, I know, but I wanted to take this opportunity to cheer for Kali to finally get there." He didn't realize the flag had been thrown at the moment that he's crossing the goal line. It was just so much about this game, and to RC's point about it seeming one-sided, even more frustrating. I already mentioned the numbers, which are astronomical. People that are going to say, that it's called fair, 12-2, really 12 penalties to 2 penalties isn't lopsided. And of those, in the second half, when it was pretty clear that the Gunslingers were, going to give the Frisco Fighters all they could handle and possibly win this game, 8 penalties called in the second half against the Gunslingers.
Now
versus just the 2 that countered, or the 1 that counted against Frisco. 8-1 second half.
Now let's be fair about a couple of things, Leo. We have been an undisciplined team at times this year.
True, unsportsmanlike conduct.
And we have not been a great second half team a lot this year. Those two things are things that we have to mention. But I'm not even saying you're wrong. I'm just saying let's keep it in perspective. But no, 12-2 doesn't make sense. That is lopsided in a way that does not make sense, especially when you factor in holds that I saw clearly. Look, Frisco's a running team. And a running team in a running league that doesn't do a lot of running, how do they do it better than anybody else does it? Why are they able to run the ball so much better? Well, I saw why. Mm-hmm. They get a little bit of a pass for whatever reason on some holds and some blocks in the back during running that I don't see us get. And then that not called pass interference play, that was just
ridiculous.
There's no excuse for it. There's just none. There's not. Well, there's an official looking at that part of the field. That's his whole job. And when that ball goes up that direction, and the penalty happened, the not penalty because it wasn't called, but the stuff that should have been called happened after the ball was in the air. So really, there should be at least 2 officials with eyes on that interaction, and both of them missed it. I don't know, man. I'm never one to blame the refs. I hate it when people blame the refs. But you see something like that and you're just going, how do you miss? It's not even a bang play. It was so clear and so obvious. He gets shoved off of his line as he's got a chance to. It's not an uncatchable ball. There's no excuse. It doesn't make sense.
And he's standing.
How many other games have had 2 challenge calls in one game?
Both failed. It's not about the calls. It's not about the penalties called against the Gunslingers. It's about the penalties that we saw that weren't called against Frisco.
Right.
That's the thing. That was the bias that we saw. That was what we witnessed and couldn't understand and couldn't believe. And by the way, at least one official, and it's the same official that missed that blatant pass interference call, he chose to ignore the fans in the stand. It was very apparent that he just toned us out like we weren't even there. Why he chose to do that, I don't know. I'm sure people were yelling some things at him that you probably don't want to hear, but it's part of your job to be aware of your surroundings as an official. And there was a point in the game where a cowbell had, I think it was over in a section where there's a lot of kids, and it probably was one of the kids, or I don't know, but there was a cowbell on the field near the wall, and people on that side, people in the end zone, were banging the boards, were yelling at him, we're saying, ref, turn around, ref, there's something on the field, ref, look at the field. Absolutely oblivious, totally ignored everyone. He never went and picked it up, and we were just concerned about the safety of the players, both Frisco and San Antonio out there, running down the field or running a route, a defensive back. He's not paying attention to what's on the turf as he's running, trying to defend the route. And it took some fans on the side to get the attention of the line crew, the ones that carry the down markers. And they had to go and remove the cowbell from the field with the referee standing right there within obvious audio distance of everyone around there, and just totally ignored everyone. Go figure. I don't get it.
Texas Pete checking in and said maybe if they being the Gunslingers is the way I read this, stretch the clock out before our last touchdown, Frisco wouldn't have had around 30 seconds with the ball. I was yelling at the TV to slow down that last drive. Man, I don't blame at all the Gunslingers for when they scored or how they scored. You got to take the points when they come, and you had to score, and you had to score a touchdown to have the lead. And then you've just got to hope your defense can hold on. And they did until the last play. And the last play, to be fair, was just a really amazing once-in-a-lifetime sort of play that you're going to see, which makes it all the more heartbreaking because it shouldn't have happened. Like, you watch it and you're like, this shouldn't have worked. This shouldn't have happened. And it did. James Palmer said he was more shocked that they didn't attempt the deuce. I'm not sure they didn't attempt the deuce. Mark Yamaguchi, one of our good friends, says the pass was considered uncatchable. Man, I don't know about that. I don't know.
That was very catchable.
That was uncatchable. It was catchable. And then James Palmer brings something up, and I want to throw this out there. And then when we come back from break, we were going to talk some more about this, because I think this is something that I've heard a lot from fans over the last 3 days, 2 days, 3 days, whatever it's been since the game. And I want to discuss this because it does feel like this, and we're all fooling ourselves to not voice this. He says, this feels more like we're just being the new kid on the block and getting hazed. It feels like something's going on against us from the minute we step on the field. Is there something to this idea of the IFL making sure that the San Antonio Gunslingers and maybe even the Jacksonville Sharks are not super successful this year? Would there be any sort of reasoning behind that? Well, we talked about it a little bit later, and I want to talk about
something like that.
I want to actually have this conversation because we're not the only ones talking this way, and it's only fair that we have this discussion. So we're going to take a break, and when we come back, that's where we'll start. We'll start talking about whether this is some sort of conspiracy against the San Antonio Gunslingers and to a lesser extent the Jacksonville Sharks. And I want to discuss it, and I want to have a real conversation about it because other people are, and we don't work for nobody. We don't work for the Gunslingers, and we don't work for the IFL, and nobody can get mad at us. I mean, they get mad at us. They just can't do anything to us. So we're going to talk some more about that. Smoking Guns Podcast. We'll be right back to talk about that and more right after this. Smoking Guns Podcast. Philip Higginbotham, Leo Yamas, R.C. Woods. Hanging out with you and talking about the San Antonio Gunslingers and all that has transpired this season. That's where we want to kind of go with this because Leo and RC, is there some sort of conspiracy? Is there some reason the IFL doesn't want the San Antonio Gunslingers to be a playoff team or a championship team?
Well, I feel like what they don't want us to just walk in, being our first time in this league, and then make it seem like this league was too easy for us. And so I think they are putting up obstacles so it doesn't look as easy. And I think that attests to that they are afraid of our skills, because if they weren't even afraid of us, they wouldn't even contemplate putting up these obstacles for us to overcome.
Yeah. I kind of, I can't disagree with some of that. I think early on, I'm not one to dismiss conspiracy theories. I'll listen to what people have to say, and some of it can be far-fetched or ridiculous, but you look at our schedule and you look how that was made. You look at the so many out of conference games that we had, and you look at just the scheduling where it took this long in the season to have a back-to-back at home for the very first time. This weekend's coming game will be our very first back-to-back game at home throughout the whole season. The season's almost over. And then you look back at I'll let you bring that up, what we talked about, Philip, as far as history, but just think of the optics of an NAL team coming into the IFL, another league team, just any league. It doesn't have to be NAL, but any league where the IFL prides itself on being the top league for indoor football. And I'm not disputing that. I think we all know that that is true.
Yeah, I think that's true.
But what kind of optics would it be? What's the optics of the league for that? If a expansion team, first time coming in from a different league, and I don't think, one thing that RC said with the talent, we kind of have brought in talent through the season. It's hard to, it's one thing to have talent on paper, but it's another thing to put it together. You have to have a lot of things going for you to be able to be successful on that. And one of the things is ownership. That's the primary thing. And I think we have a very, very strong ownership group, a very, very strong organization that, if you get those pieces in place, they're going to be able to be very successful. And maybe they looked at that and they saw the ownership and they recognized that and they said, okay, well, we know that they're going to come in and have success, but maybe we're just make it as difficult as possible on them to come in and make their mark. Because how would that look if the San Antonio Gunslingers come in from another league and win a championship in the first season? And it would look even worse if something like that happened before, right, Philip?
So here's what I'm looking at right now. Let's talk a little bit about the IFL and the United Bowl, which is what they used to call their championship. But this IFL championship game, I'm going back to 2009. In 2009, Billings won 2 years in a row. Then Sioux Falls just goes on a tear and wins from 2011 all the way to 2016. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight championships That's incredible. Like that's incredible. Let's give them their due. By the way, big part of that team and a big part of the leadership for that team, current IFL commissioner Todd Tryon was a big part of that, if I understand correctly. 2017, a storied franchise in the Arizona Rattlers is the IFL champion. In 2018, the Iowa Barnstormers, another absolutely storied indoor football team. In 2019, Sioux Falls is back at it and winning their 7th in this sort of stretch that we're talking about. The 2020 season was canceled because there was this thing that happened. I don't know if anybody remembered it, but it was called COVID, and it wiped everything out, and it canceled that. From that moment, things change in the IFL. Things change a lot in the IFL because every team I've read to you up to this point is a storied franchise in the IFL that has won the championship. And then all of a sudden in 2021, the Massachusetts Pirates come in from the NAL this season before and win the IFL championship right out of the NAL, and they win the IFL championship. The next year, Northern Arizona, in only their 2nd season as a franchise, win the IFL championship. And then the next season, Bay Area, with only their 3rd season in the IFL, win the IFL championship. Do you think that there are folks in the IFL in leadership that look around and go, man, we've put in our dues. We've really pushed and done what we need to do. And these new guys are just walking in the door and taking what we worked so hard to build and do. Is it interesting that 2 of the teams that had the roughest, the most challenging travel schedules, that have had really rough times with officials, because Jacksonville has some of the same complaints that we have. I've heard it from some of them. I'm not saying there's a conspiracy. In fact, I tend to lean away from that. Way away from that. I just don't. It takes so much for there to be a conspiracy that I just don't buy it. But man, you look at everything in the way it lines up and the history of the IFL. And Jordan, checking in just a second ago on April's account, says the Pirates did it once. They don't want it to happen again, in my opinion. It's not just the Pirates. It's the Pirates and then the Wranglers and then the Panthers, all brand new teams. 3 years in the league is not very long. To be winning championships after 3 years in the league is kind of a big deal. I remember the Golden Knights, the Vegas Golden Knights winning the Stanley Cup last year and feeling like, man, it's too early. It's too early for an expansion team to just be holding the cup. They haven't paid their dues. Maybe that's a real thing. Like maybe that's a legitimate thing, is that some folks feel like, hey, you got to pay your dues a little more before you just walk in and you take over. And so we're gonna make sure that you earn it, and earn it the hard way. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to argue against when there's so much supporting evidence, and that's where conspiracies come from. When you have, all these A, B, C, and D, you add them up and they equal X, when you're doing algebra. But it's hard to ignore all of that. It really is. And it's a little disappointing. But I think there was a comment earlier from Mission's Highlighter, it should be looked at as a success story instead of looking down on and hold us down. As San Antonio based fans, we wholeheartedly believe that and back that. But as the optics in the league as a whole, it may be exactly what they don't want to happen. And I mean, I kind of get it. I kind of get that. But, if you want to handicap us a bit when it comes to scheduling, what they've done on that, that's fine, but it should never cross over into officiating. But the fact that it appears that way when it comes to the schedule makes us believe it when we see officiating like what we saw in this last game. It's hard to not connect those dots. even though there may be no relation whatsoever.
I think fans, other other teams can see how we have grown so quickly with our jerseys. Our fan base has numerous jerseys, and you look at other teams, and they don't have the same. You look
Mm-hmm.
at the different themes that we have, the community interaction, our cheerleaders. We have every aspect of the football team, and I think they're concerned. I think they're worried. You can even just look, and this is just me, my opinion. Look at the cheerleaders' outfits. Ours outshine all of those other cheerleaders. And if we don't win this award, I'm going to be hot. I'm telling you right now.
Head coach Tom Manas, head coach and general manager Tom Manas, it isn't over yet, despite the attempts to not let us. So Tom Manas saying about as much as he could say about his feelings on this particular thing. You know what? And that's the point. And Coach Manas knows this. He's a smart guy, and he's been around this sport a lot longer than me, and he likes to remind me of that sometimes. But he understands that that's not an excuse you can use. Like, even if it's true, even if the scheduling and the officiating is built against you, it's just not an excuse you can use. Nobody outside of San Antonio is going to buy that, even if it's true. Like, we could talk about this till we're blue in the face, and the folks over in Massachusetts or Frisco or San Diego are going to go, oh, stop your whining.
Mm-hmm.
Play tighter, play better, play more disciplined. And it's going to be part of the thing. Like, it's not an excuse you can use. But it is interesting when you look at all of these things, and Coach agreeing with me, that doesn't always happen, but Coach agreeing with me here. Jason Wood, with his take, says there's no grand conspiracy to keep us down. If there is, then the league needs to be shut down altogether. Now, let's talk about that for a second, Jason, which, by the way, Jason, congratulations for being like the fan of the night or whatever they called you. That was very cool.
Oh, yeah.
I immediately tossed my hands up in the air in the broadcast booth, and I was like, hey, he's a Smoking Guns guy. Let's talk about something. I don't know if you've paid attention. I don't blame you if you haven't, to what's going on over in the AFL or the NAL. Not much better. The fact that we are in something stable and haven't heard one thing about a team folding or having to change the entire schedule of the league or the entire league shutting down. Oh, it's blessed. It's wonderful. It's amazing. Like, I love the stability of the IFL. And if we have to pay our dues for a few years or for a year or whatever the case may be to earn the credit, it's sad that it works out that way. But if that's what we have to do, I'm willing to do that, because I like this so much better than what we went through last year in the NAL. I'd never want to go back to that again. I never want to be going through that again. And by the way, since I've got him here, since I've got his attention, a couple of people actually stopped me on the field on Saturday night and said, do you think Tom is back next year? Do you think they retain Coach next year? And I said, it would be crazy. It would be ridiculous to change anything right now. Having a winning season, which I fully expect, but even having a 500 season the year you move into a new league is not a point where you go, well, this didn't work out. We have to change everything. You need stability moving forward, and Tom Manas is the right guy to give that stability.
Yeah.
There's no reason in the world anybody needs to be even considering coaching changes. Nobody should even be entertaining that idea. That's ridiculous.
No.
That's the dumbest thing I heard the whole night, and I heard some pretty dumb things. So,
he's my coach.
I can't believe that anybody would think that, like, oh, that's what we need to do now. We're just getting our feet under us. We're just learning this. We've taken some bumps and bruises this year. Maybe we need to make a whole change. No. Guys, just real quick before I go, this is head coach Tom Manas. Can we all send prayers to Coach Moran of Naz and his family? You bet, Coach. I'm not even sure what the situation is, but yes, we absolutely can. And we appreciate you jumping in and commenting with us, Tom. You and I don't always see eye to eye, but I think we both respect what our jobs are. And your job is one job I would never do, ever, ever, ever. I don't want your job. I don't have any desire to ever go through what you go through on a weekly basis. You keep that, and you keep doing a great job with it.
Yeah, I think he's been. I mean, anyone that would even entertain the idea of possibly doing a change, like absolutely not. It doesn't. They don't understand how difficult it is to make to go into a season with so many changes. God bless you too, as well, Coach Tamanas, and you have our full support. Just so you know, and we appreciate all that you've done for the organization so far this year, and we know that it's not over yet, as you said. But anyone that would even entertain that thought, they just don't have an understanding of what all is involved. New coaches,
Correct.
New players, new system, new offense, new league, from the top down, and then building just physical and actual, facilities, everything,
Right.
getting all of that put together, all in that short period of time, and then going out and playing. We talked the talk. We talked a big game at the beginning of the season. We were hyped. We were excited. Reality has kind of hit us throughout the season. But you know what? We're not that far away from being where we said we were going to be. If you take all the losses of the season so far and you look at what type of losses those are, save maybe one, they've all been, one possession games, and to the best teams.
The Vegas
in the league.
loss was just bad. The Vegas loss was just what it was.
No.
I will tell you right now, we go into next season with Sam Castronova as my quarterback, Tamanas as the head coach, James Fuller directing the offense, and any of our receivers that we currently have. I'd love to have all of them still. But any of the receivers we currently have, and I'll be talking the same way again. I'll be talking about how we're going to win a championship next year. Like, I absolutely will. Because it'll reset everything. Now, we're not done with this season yet. Coach is right. It's not over, but it's close. I'm going to be really honest. And is Coach gone? Because this is where he's going to get mad at me.
He's going to be upset.
If Coach is gone, we can continue this conversation. Even if he's there, he's going to hear it one way or the other.
That gorda is warming up. The fat lady, the Spanish is gorda. Yeah, she's warming up.
Jason Woods saying, I've said it before, but here it is again. How many times do we have to be called for illegal defense before we can get it right? It's fine, man. It's fine if they want to call us for illegal defense because we do something illegal on defense. As long as they do that on the other side, I'm fine. I'm absolutely fine. I just want the standard to be consistent, and I'm not sure it is. So let's talk about math.
To be fair.
Yeah, exactly. Math is not my strong suit, but let's talk a little math. Bay Area is 11-2. You're not touching them. They are going to the playoffs. The Vegas Nighthawks have 9 wins. Even if you win out at this point, you can only have 9 wins. That means you'll be 9-7, and Vegas loses out. They're 9-7. They have the tiebreaker over you. Same is the case for San Diego, who is 9-5. The Arizona Rattlers are in the 4th spot, and this is where things are going to get dicey as far as the playoff picture. The Arizona Rattlers are 9-5. If they lose out all 3 of their remaining games, both of their remaining games, and those games are Tucson. So we are all big Tucson fans.
Go
coming
Tucson
up this weekend. Go Tucson.
And
Gunslingers, yeah. Well, we're always Gunslinger fans, but we're big Tucson fans. And then they play the Gunslingers.
Well, that's what I was saying.
We have to win that game. So Tucson has to win this week. And then you could jump Arizona in that final game. So you win the next 2, they lose to Tucson. That final game, you could jump Arizona, but there's another team in your way at that point because in the 5th spot is Northern Arizona. And here's where things are going to get really, really tough. Northern Arizona is 8-5. They cannot win another game. If they win another game, they will be 9-7, and they beat us on both of the head-to-head matchups. They hold the tiebreaker. So they have to lose out. Leo, They have to lose every one of their games for us to have a shot at the playoffs. But here's their schedule. At Bay Area, the champions, the 11-2, 11-3, whatever they are, Bay Area Panthers. They could lose that game.
Absolutely.
And then on the 13th, they host Vegas, the Vegas Nighthawks. They could lose that game.
Definitely.
And then they finish the night after our season finishes on the 21st by going to Duke City.
So what's your, yeah.
So what I'm saying is everything could fall our direction. We could see Arizona lose to Tucson. We could watch Northern Arizona get beat by Bay Area and Vegas. We could beat Arizona, put ourselves into the playoffs for about 24 hours, and then Northern Arizona could go to Duke City, win that game, and knock us back out of the playoffs. It's there. It can happen. It's going to take a lot. Like all the Gunslingers can do is win. All the Gunslingers can do is win the next 3 games. You can't control any of the rest of this outside of that. Tucson beating Arizona is going to be rough, but it's possible. But then you get down to that game after you've completed your schedule and after everyone else has played, and you get down to cheering for the 2-10 Duke City Gladiators at home to take down the Northern Arizona Wranglers. And if it happens, then hey.
So you're saying there's a chance.
There is a chance. James Palmer says the fat lady is prepping to sing, but she hasn't gotten on stage yet. And James Palmer, again, any given Saturday.
That's right. I'll take that chance. I don't like it, but I'll take it.
Dolores says, Philip, I hate that you're so realistic. I mean, I'm just giving you the facts. I'm pointing out what has to happen. That's what has to happen.
We're not saying we don't want that to happen or believe that to happen. We're going to have the faith. What's the point of faith if you don't have it?
Yeah, it Coach someone else did stick around. I'm in trouble. What's the point of faith if you don't have it? Hey, all of it. All we can control is win. All we can do is win the next 3.
What we can control and let everything else fall as it may.
You know what? If Arizona goes next week on the 7th and they beat Tucson, which would ultimately end the chances at that point on the 7th, I think at that point we're mathematically eliminated. I don't care. Still win every one of the next 3 games. Like, finish strong. Do it. Do whatever you can do left. Make every possible effort. There's no reason not to finish the season at 9-7. We can do that. Sure would have been nice to have this one against Frisco. It didn't happen. Things happen. I don't really think we played a bad game. I think we just got unlucky right at the end. Like it just.
Yep. The situation that we're in is what makes that loss this past weekend so hard to swallow. That's what made it so hard to take for those of us that realized and recognized what that did for our hopes for the extended season. I saw Robert Seco's post on Facebook. For those of you that know who know who Robert Seco is, he's the guy. Absolutely
the best hype video man in anywhere, not in anything, anywhere. The best hype guy there is. The best
amazing
hype video guy ever.
Amazing talent, amazing work, and more than that, he is a diehard Gunslingers fan. I mean, the Gunslingers are his heart and his soul. He puts everything out there in his work because he loves what he does and because he loves this team and this organization. And he put out a very emotional post after that game. And, he confessed to crying. And that some people say, well, it's just football. But he's like, to so many people, this isn't just football. To the Robert Secos and the Coach Manassas and all the players and everyone behind the organization, the Steubings, everyone who has put so much blood, sweat, and tears into the season, and to see that crushing blow because there's still faith and there's still hope, but it took us out of the driver's seat, and basically, um, and to see that and see the new reality was devastating for so many. And me as a fan, a hardcore, diehard fan of the Gunslingers, it really hurt. I felt that sting. I got a text afterwards from other fans from um oh, I'm sorry, the name is escaping me right now, but the missions highlighter,
Alfred Rodriguez.
yeah, Alfred Rodriguez. Thank you. Saying that loss really stung. He said it stings, and I said yes, big time. And we're just, I mean, we are, as all of you are watching us, invest in this team as fans, and we really put a lot of ourselves into it, and that hurt us, but it's not a fraction of what a lot of these people are putting, like Robert and the Steubings, and it's not a fraction. So I can't imagine. So he has nothing to feel bad about for crying and being emotional like that.
No.
I get it, Robert. I get it, and I appreciate it more than you know.
I was pretty
And
surly.
I
I was
hate-
pretty
I
surly
hate
for about 12
having-
straight hours.
I hate having our destiny in other people's hands. That's what kills me, that we don't have control. And I know it's football, and I get it, but we do have the heart of winners. We have the hope of winners. We have the faith of winners. And I just hope it goes our way.
Now, here's the thing. If everything falls right and we end up squeaking into the playoffs, you tell me, Leo, knowing our team and what we have available from the head coach all the way down through the team, you tell me which one of these teams scares you. Bay Area, Vegas, San Diego, Green Bay, Frisco.
We have a shot. We have a shot against anybody.
Any of those teams really scare you? Like, well, we're not getting past. There is no Boston Celtics here. There is no team that's like, well, they're going to win the championship. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Like, none of these teams are so scary that I'm like, well, maybe it's better that we not make the playoffs, because who wants to get knocked out in the first round by Bay Area? I give us just as good a chance going into San Jose in the first round of the playoffs as I would give Arizona or Northern Arizona, either of the other two teams that are still vying for that spot. I don't think,
absolutely.
I don't see any reason why. James Palmer's right. If I recall, Vegas is the only team that truly spanked us, and that was a completely different team.
Different team.
Like, that was a completely different San Antonio Gunslingers team.
Yep.
And he mentions that right after that. We have a completely different defense. So I don't know if we'll get the help we need. But if we do, I feel good about the playoffs.
We'll send that Gorda packing. We don't need you. Get out of here.
So it is what it is. Playoff chances are slim. The door is not closed. It is still ajar, but it is just a crack. Let's blow it open. Let's do all we can do. And that's all we can do is go out and win games. We can beat Massachusetts this week. We can go out to Tucson and beat them, hopefully after they get a win against the Arizona Rattlers. And then it all comes down to that final game. And that would be so much fun. If it just all came down to that last game, that'd be a blast, especially if we win it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even in the loss, it's so much fun. I'm going to share a story real quick. I know we're running out of time because we keep trying to keep these shows a little bit short, but or shorter than when we had the Clever Brahmas. But okay, had a gentleman standing next to me in the end zone seats in the party zone. First time I had seen him, and he was very vocal and yelling at the players and having a good time. Is him there and his daughter?
Is he wearing the retro jersey?
No, he wasn't wearing a jersey. No, wasn't wearing a jersey. At least not at the time during the game. So I introduced myself to him and talked to him a little bit through the game, and he actually came up to several fans and shook hands, and myself and the captain, Mike Steele, and he thanked us and said he appreciated what we do for the organization by being there and being loud. I said, it was his first time here. He said, yes, it was our first game. I said, man, they're a lot of fun. He said, yes, they are. He goes, and you guys down here, you guys doing what you do, contribute towards that. You're a big part of that. And I just want to say, you guys are awesome. And like I've said before, that's part of my goal. And I know the other fans that are down there with us, just trying to raise heck and be loud and obnoxious and support our team and just, make the Freeman Coliseum a hard place to play for visiting teams. And he joined in with the fun with us and was, very loud and engaging with the players and having a great time. Well, it turns out I talked to him a little bit, introduced myself, and his name was Danny Bird. And his daughter's name that was with him, Logan Bird. His son's name is Colby Bird. I don't know if you recognize that name, but he's an offensive lineman for the San Antonio Gunslingers.
Yep.
He's been with the Gunslingers for about a month now. That was one of those, late season additions, and he's been playing a defensive line and doing some things on defense even. And I looked into Colby a little bit, and as far as I could tell, he was offensive lineman all the way through college. He played with Duke City Gladiators. Danny and Danny's with us. I told him about the show. He followed the show. He says you guys did amazing in that end zone. And Danny, you were part of that, so thank you. But I thought it was awesome to get that experience and see how much fun he had and how he enjoyed himself and how he kind of took to the atmosphere and the culture that we've developed down there and just immediately become part of that. And then the greatest thing, and I'm showing my hand here for my my bullseye, but maybe I'll save it. I'll save it for the bullseye.
Okay.
But yeah, it was a shout out to Danny Bird and Logan Bird coming all the way down from Virginia to watch your son play and support the team. I was glad to have been there and met you guys, and it was great to have you with us. Hopefully it won't be the last time.
Not the only parent, family anyway of player. Obviously, we know Kali Rashad's family always connected. But I also got a chance to meet Sam Castronova's dad, who looks like Sam Castronova's brother. Man, that ain't fair. That dude looks younger than Sam. And I would love to just point out that he must look so good. It must be clean living because he's a pastor, but I know it don't work that way because, man, just, so his family, Sam's family was there and got to spend some time enjoying the game. You obviously saw Sam's son take the field with him in the oversized and the gigantic Sam Castronova fan jersey. Very cool moment for Faith and Family Night. Very excited for those guys. I was surprised. With Faith and Family Night, there was this two sides of me. I was very surprised that we didn't actually finally get the God Family Football T-shirt on Faith and Family Night that they've talked about practically all season. I kind of thought that would show up on Faith and Family Night, but then there's another part of me that's like, is there a certain amount of that's selling out your faith a little bit and like making dollars, making money on that, and is that something that gave them a certain amount of pause and said, hey, is that really what we want to do with this particular slogan, is turn it into something that we're going to make some money off of? And if that's the case, if that's the hang up, and Jordan, if you're paying attention, still do it because I want one, and that's what's really guiding the rest of this whole diatribe is I want one, but still make the God Family football shirt with a Gunslingers logo on it, but take the proceeds you get from that and donate it somewhere. Like send it to, use it as a fundraiser for some sort of nonprofit or something like that, so that you're not cashing in on faith, because that's not something that's really consistent with where the Gunslingers are right now. It's certainly not consistent with me and where I'm at. I could certainly understand why there would be some pause, although I know we had the bells. That were God Family Football, but I think that would be a good compromise, and then I could get one of those shirts, which is ultimately all I'm trying to make happen here is just getting one of those God Family Football shirts. And Jordan says those shirts are coming, and that's a
You
great
made that
idea.
too obvious, Philip. Too obvious.
I mean, it's really just.
Uh,
I'm only coming up with the idea because I want one. I want one of those shirts. It was a fun look. It was a fun game. If you didn't have fun at the game, you're letting the last 20 seconds of what you felt kind of overtake the rest of the experience. It was a good time. It was a great game. It was really exciting. Tina Myers since I'm putting my stuff out there just to get what I want, I will let you do the same. She said she would love a DJ jersey too. There are other people out there that would like a DJ Myers jersey, but this lady especially would like to get her hands on a number 15. And I will absolutely make sure you can beat that drum as well. No, it was a fun time. It was a good game. I love the rivalry that already exists between Frisco and San Antonio.
Big time rivalry there.
As soon as they won the game and they hit the field and some of the coaches were waving bye-bye to the crowd, I immediately got angry. And then I immediately was like, we would do the same thing. Like Kali would do exactly that if it was switched and it happened in their stadium and we just knocked them, nearly out of the playoffs and won in the last second. We saw Kali Rashad do it last year in Albany, and I thought it was great. I loved it. I thought it was one of the coolest moments of the whole season last season. So while I got mad at first, I was like, "Wow, we would do that too." Like
it's all part of it. Yep,
we're those people too. James Palmer said we did the same thing when we beat them. So yeah, I mean, it's all fair. It's all fair. I was mad at first. I was like, how classy, how classless. What a terrible organization. And then I was like, I mean, yeah, we would do that. Jason Wood brings up a great point. Are y'all sponsoring kids for the football camp also? Yes.
Yes, you know it.
Coming up on July 15th. And that is all the information I have committed to memory. So I'm going to do my Facebook thing real quick. Talk amongst yourselves.
Well, to add to that rivalry, it's just there was lots of yapping between us, the fans, and the Frisco Fighter players, which has just been a continuation from the other games. And I loved it how Danny Bird just jumped right in there. Like, that's what first got my attention. I was listening to him talk smack to the players, and I was like, what did he just say? Like, did he really just say that? Like, yeah, it was pretty funny. But yes, it's all part of it. We love to hate each other, but at the end, we're fans of the sport. We're fans of the league, and we don't wish any harm to any players or anything like that. And if there's a player down and hurting, my prayers are definitely with them. It doesn't matter the color of their jersey, or a coach, in the situation we have that coach told us earlier about the Northern Arizona coach. Yeah, definitely our prayers go out for him and his family, and hope that he's okay and can recover. So, there's Danny Bird, Pee Wee Pearson. We had his number. It was called Pearson from the Frisco Fighters. He's a slight of stature, probably the smallest guy on the team. And Danny was giving him a hard time about that. He did not like it at all.
Well, I know even though I was in Chicago for 11 days, I tried my best to promote the Gunslingers. In one of our group pictures, I went ahead and had my Gunslingers guns up, little shot there. And someone had asked me while I was in Chicago, do you go to every game? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, why? I go, because you're so much fun. I mean, it's not even just the game. It's the whole atmosphere. It's the fans. It's the entertainment. If you just look at it at an entertainment aspect, Gunslingers have been doing it 110% and so professional. It was just, I bragged a lot about the Gunslingers in Chicago. I know many people aren't going to come all the way from Chicago, but I definitely did a good job of representing them. And I truly missed all of the fans and hanging out there in the end zone and going to the watch parties. And I'm inviting everybody to at least even support the team during this summer. Take the kids to one of the practices. they would love that, and I know, I don't think they get as many fans as they deserve to come out there, because they deserve for everyone to come out there at least once during the week. I know they have practice from, I think, 8 or 9 to like 11. This is the summer, people. Take your kids out, do something as a family. Take your lawn chairs, take a thing, coolers for to drink, 'cause it's going to get hot. Support them that way. If you can't go to a game, support them at one of their practices.
Yeah, tell as many people as you can about it. I think this was the largest crowd of the season so far at this last game, and everybody seemed to be really engaged and involved. I mean, the production that by the Gunslingers organization, not just on the field, we've talked about many times, but when people actually get to experience it and see it for the first time, like Danny Bird did, and they're just like, wow, this is amazing, and this is so much fun, and you just can't talk enough about it. Yeah, it sucked how it ended. Everyone walked out of there just kind of, well, didn't even walk out of there. I said I walked out of there. We had a family engagement to go to a birthday party that had already going, and we were already late, so we had to head out, and I didn't go down on the field. But lots of people were going down on the field, and I ran into some first time comers that were like, how do we get down on the field? How do we get the autographs? How do we get to go meet the players? And so I explained to them what to do, and it's just it's definitely an experience like no other, and we need more people to come and share that. Did you find what you're looking for, Philip?
I did. It's a Monday football camp for ages 6 through 10. That's going to start at 7:30 a.m. early in the morning so that they can keep them out of the sun. It's going to be out at Gunslinger Nation. The address for that is 9450 Southeast Loop 410. I believe that's Gunslinger Nation. I'm just guessing that's where it's going to be. Parents need to stay on site. At least one parent needs to stay on site. They're going to do 6 to 10, ages 6 to 10 from 7:30 to 9:30, and then ages 11 to 17, 10:30 to 12:30. There's going to be one-on-one training with head coach Tom Manas, James Fuller, Lee Johnson, Chris McHenry, Jermaine Richardson. They're going to get a meal. They're going to get obviously some water, some drinks, 2024 Gunslinger Camp Edition jersey, and 2 tickets to a San Antonio Gunslinger game.
Nice.
All of that is set up for $95 per person. And as always, if you want your kids to go to camp, to football camp, and that $95 is the only thing that would keep you away from doing that, reach out to the show, and we'll do everything we can. We always try to sponsor one, but if we get 2 or 3 emails, we'll figure it out. We'll reach out to some people and make some deals, and sell some Smoking Guns jerseys, and we'll make it work.
Absolutely.
So reach out to the Smoking Guns podcast, Smoking No G, Guns with a Z, POD at gmail.com. Email me, and we'll figure it out. That is on the 15th, on this one. July 15th. So let's take one more break. We've run a little long, but that's okay. We're having fun. And we got one more segment coming up. We want to talk a little bit about something else. We want to talk about the IFA, because they made an announcement today, and we're not sure how we feel about it. And then we're going to wrap up the show as we always do with our Bullspit and Bullseye, our favorite moment in San Antonio professional football, and our least favorite moment. And I think we all might have the least favorite moment this week. It involves a certain play and a certain moment in time. But we're going to talk about that in a minute. We're going to take one more break. When we come back, we'll talk IFA, and then we will do our Bullspit and Bullseye. Hang with us. Smoking Guns Podcast. We'll be right back right after this. Smoking Guns Podcast, Philip Higginbotham, Leo Yamas, R.C. Woods. So the Gunslingers are wrapping things up right now, and that will be the end of the San Antonio professional football season whenever they wrap up, after they win the championship in August. That'll be the end of that, and we'll go into our off season. But we're going to talk a little bit about another thing starting up in next season, the 2025 season, we will have another outdoor professional football organization here in San Antonio, part of the International Football Association. Is that what they are?
Alliance.
Or
The Alliance.
Alliance? Okay. The Alliance word gives me fear. Gives me
I know.
Flashbacks.
the head coach for your San Antonio team is going to be Hal Mummy. He is a legend. If you don't know who Hal Mummy is, Google him. If you liked Mike Leach and everything he did at Texas Tech, you like Hal Mummy because he got all those ideas from Hal Mummy, and that's the guy that's going to be coaching the San Antonio IFA franchise. We don't know what they're called yet, and that's what we need to talk about because today they released a poll on social media, and they gave us three. I did this. They gave us three options. Math is not my strong suit, people. They gave us four options. Your options for your San Antonio football team in the International Football Association. A league that is going to play games here in the USA and in Mexico.
Yep.
Just keep that in mind.
That's why it's international.
Your options are the San Antonio Chupacabras, the San Antonio Cannons, the San Antonio Stampede, and the San Antonio Nagulas? I don't even know how to pronounce it.
Just don't say nalgas. Just don't say nalgas.
It's hard not to, though. And that's why that one is off the board right off the bat.
I will tell you that one only has 3% of the vote right now. I do not see it making it to round 2. If they have to do a runoff, I don't think that last one's going to make it. But let's talk about some of these other options because I know, and you can go online to Texas IFA on Facebook and you can vote right now for your preferred thing. So San Antonio Stampede is winning right now.
I like it.
It's boring. I'm just going to say it. Look, if that's what they pick, of course I'll have some Stampede gear.
Go Stampede.
It'll be a thing, but it's boring. I'm not going to lie. It's boring. I don't like it. San Antonio Cannons is interesting to me, but only if they really drag in the come and take it, Gonzalez flag and all of that kind of stuff. And then if you do that and you go play games in Mexico, that feels wrong. I have issues with that. I feel that's dangerous.
Not to mention, and folks, I have a lot of Spanish-speaking relatives. I cannot visualize is to see, but audio, the audio version of visualize how they would pronounce my Spanish speaking.
The translation might
how they would pronounce the word cannons. Like I can't even imagine what that's going to sound like to someone who purely speaks Spanish. It's would be a difficult pronunciation for them.
Not good.
So the one, and Jason Woods already mentioned Chupacabras all the way. Chupacabras was actually my vote too. I was like, I think this is what we should go with. This is the most likable of these four options. But I'm a poor white person and I don't know some things. Leo, if we go into Mexico with the name Chupacabras, what are we setting ourselves up for?
Some pretty harsh ridicule. I mean, they're going to have a field day with that. You know, our Mexican counterparts and people were playing against our other teams, the fans, because Chupacabras. And I have to admit, of all of those, that you could come up with the coolest logo ideas for that. But
that's true.
If you translate that literally in Spanish, what that means is goat suckers or suck goats. And as a fan of competitive sports, professional competitive sports, I don't think I have ever wanted the word suck in the name of the team I'm supporting. It just it's too easy.
Not a good look.
You're giving them too much.
It's meant the phrase is meant to be, or the name is meant to be like vampiric and like attacking and killing goats, because that's a big part of the whole chupacabra sort of mystique. But let's be honest, folks. You go into another stadium and your name literally means in their language goat suckers, and that's going to go to a bad place really fast.
Too fast.
Really fast.
I will agree, though, with Jason Wood and the Texas Pete. That makes for the best mascot. That makes for the best logo.
True.
Yeah.
So I, and in my own way, because I love to stir up trouble, reached out to them today as soon as they published this, within an hour of them publishing it. I said, where's the none of the above option? Caballeros would be amazing, because we've talked about this on the show before. And I really like the idea of the gentleman.
I do too.
I think that's very cool. Texas IFA responded within minutes. Well, why can't we add that as an option? And I said, go for it. I'll vote for it right now. And several people have backed me up on that. So you can go. In fact, Mo Ferrante, I think, just went and liked that comment and let them know that, yeah, this is where we want to go. Caballeros is the best of those 5 options. I'm not even going to, like him and Han, be like, it's pretty good. No, of the 5 options that we've just presented, that's the best one. Another person later down the line said something about San Antonio Defenders. I like it. It's very plain to me. I'm not sure so much about that, but I would love the San Antonio Caballeros. I did it eventually, and I'll learn to do it even better. So go, and there's an idea. The Charros.
Mm-hmm. There's history with that name too.
If we did the Caballeros, the female fan group could be called the Damas.
Sure.
Yeah, there you go.
I like it.
RC already gave you, if it ends up being the San Antonio Chupacabras, I already told you what the female name's going to be. Because you can't be the Chupacabra hers. That doesn't
we could not.
Work. But you can absolutely be the Chica Cabras.
The Chica Cabras. I like
That's it
too.
Me,
there's some comedy there. Chica Cabras.
So go and vote. Go familiarize yourself with the International Football Alliance. Get ready for that. I will be honest. We're gonna concentrate on San Antonio Gunslingers football. They have done too much for us as a show for us to slight them in any way. And so we absolutely want to give them our attention as they finish out their season. But we've already reached out and made some connections with the IFA, and we definitely want to give them some time as our IFL season comes to an end. There's one thing about this that, I'll be honest, Leo, concerns me. Like, genuinely, I'm not even trying to be funny here. They're going to play their games at Tom and Gail Benson Stadium, which is over on Incarnate Word.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And their season runs June on through like August or September.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be hot. And I'm not just talking about in the stands. Like, that's going to be hot in the stands for us. But I can imagine these guys out there playing in July and August, playing full contact football at that time of year. Man, these are going to have to be evening games. I can't imagine how warm it's going to be out there.
They're definitely going to have to, consider that in the schedule, because those are the hottest months of the year here in San Antonio. Definitely going to have to keep everyone hydrated, but night games will definitely be the way to go. Yeah.
I think Friday Night Lights, I can see that in the future.
I'm down with that.
Yeah.
I love the idea of it being on Friday nights leading into the high school football season, because that gives me an opportunity to go up, see the games, and get back home and still be here for Sunday morning. I love that idea. I'm a huge fan of that idea. Game time starting at 9:00, both Jessica Palmer and Jason Wood. Like 9:00 starts for games. I'm down, because that's when it's cool enough to actually get out there and play. So go vote, whichever one of those names, blows your skirt up. If you're a big fan of San Antonio Stampede, go vote for it. Or Chupacabras or Cannons or whatever that other one was. Or you can comment and and like and comment on mine there and see if we can get a really good name up there, and we can actually pick the name ourselves. I am encouraging you to do that as well.
For sure.
Not Naguals. Please don't vote for Naguals.
Yeah, I don't know what that was. In fact, let's just, if the IFA is
Just
listening,
erase
and they
it.
might be, let's just delete that one and put Caballeros there, and we can move on from there. How about
That's
that?
right. I like that
There
idea.
you go.
Make sure you bring the off if they're 9:30 games or 9 o'clock games. The bugs will be out all over the place, especially right there off of the almost basin. And, there's water down in there, right? There's water there. Yeah, there's got.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'll take
yeah,
the
that's where the
bugs
San
over
Antonio
heat.
River starts, right?
Yep.
So
Yeah, I don't know if you saw earlier, but there was one comment from somebody by the name of Cody Brooks who said, IFA, huh? Yeah, with the eyeballs. And I know that they have some open tryouts coming up where they're getting ready to set up the league. And if Cody is eyeing that as an opportunity, I can't wait. And Cody,
Go
I wish
for
you
it.
nothing but the best of luck. And I know you're working hard to get that next opportunity, and you have the support of the Smoking Guns podcast for sure.
Sure do.
My former roommate.
Absolutely. Well, now it's time for our favorite part of the night. It's Bullseye and Bull Spit, our favorite moments and our least favorite moments from San Antonio professional football this week. RC, do you have them?
I do. So my bullseye is being part of a team that honors faith and family and have that be the theme. I think for me, that speaks volumes for the team, for the ownership, for everybody involved. In a world right now where there's full of hate and trouble, we can come and show our faith and family. So that definitely is my bullseye.
For sure. What about your Bull Spit?
Do I really have to say it? Do I really? I can give you by 1 point what my Bulls fit is. Disappointment, heartbreak, not being fair, all of those adjectives about describing this last game that we lost.
For sure.
Mhm.
Jessica Palmer checking in. Her bullseye is all the fans at the Gunslinger games and all of us giving our players love. You bet. We're very proud of our organization, no matter where we finish in the standings. We're proud to be a part of all of this. Her Bull Spit. The dang ref's not calling the plays properly. I can get behind that. Leo, how about you? Bullseye, Bull Spit.
Bullseye. So I kind of hinted earlier, meeting Danny Bird and getting to spend some time with him there, and realizing, and he tells me that's my son out there, number 58, Colby Bird. And then not too long after that, we had a botched extra point snap that went, and actually it was Stevens who picked up the ball. Even though Sam is the normal the holder, Stevens was the one who picked up the ball because it kind of went wide and behind Sam. So you had him looking for a receiver, and he chucks it into the end zone, and who catches it but none other than Colby Bird for the 2-point conversion, successful 2-point conversion.
Sure did.
And Danny, and very understandably, is just going nuts. And so is Logan. They were so proud and so happy to have witnessed that. And it really, kind of gave me some flashbacks, knowing what that feels like to see your son out on the field when I got to watch my son play. And I knew and felt the joy in his heart because having experienced that and know what that's like. And it was just amazing and really an honor to stand there and kind of watch him. We high-fived, and it was just really a special moment for him, for the Bird family. And I felt honored to kind of share in that just a little bit. And that's definitely my bullseye for the week. Bull Spit. The one-sidedness, or at least the perceptive one-sidedness of the officiating in that game, and just the way that it ended, it just really hurt. It stings even now just thinking about it. But if the Gunslingers lose in an equal playing field, we have something to be proud of, and we, not to say we don't. I'm very proud of our Gunslingers and what they do and how they present themselves and represent the city of San Antonio. But the referees just took so much of that away with their performance that night. And that's not supposed to happen. It's not supposed to be. It's not supposed to be like that.
Jason Wood, bullseye, great swag by the Gunslingers organization. He did. He got himself a whole prize package by being named the fan of the night, or however they worded that. It was very cool to see one of our guys that hangs out with us here on the show get that. And then it's bull spit, way too many penalties. James Palmer, bullseye, the Gunslingers behind the scenes, always putting on top-notch entertainment and fun games no matter what. Bull spit just can't even say one thing. I have a lot. Mo Ferrante, bull spit, refs at the Gunslingers game. I'm detecting a trend here. Bullseye, all the hard work in this last game. Love the Cali return for a touchdown and all of the deuces. My bullseye is going to go a little different. I can't prove it. Oh, Missions Highlighter checking in, bullseye. The guy's still hanging out with the fans afterwards, even though the loss may be more frustrating for them. And I'm sure he's typing up a bull spit as we talk. My bullseye was, and Ralph can back me up on this, calling the very first kick for cash winner before it ever happened. I looked down on that field and I went, that kid's wearing a soccer jersey. He's going to win this thing. He's going to get him some cash right here. And bam, he knocked it right through. Didn't even stop and think about it. Like, he knocked that sucker right through, and $1,500 later, he was walking off with money. And I called it. I mean, I looked down on the field and I went, here it is. Here's the one that's going to win right here.
Yeah.
First dude.
There was some of that in the end zone too, Philip. You see the soccer jersey and you're like, oh, this kid's got a shot. And then when he made it, nailed it right down the middle and room to spare. We're
beautiful.
Like, he should have just gone for it from 25. It was like, he didn't just win, was it 1,500? He lost 1,000 because he shorted himself, because that would have been good for 25 yards, I think. But yeah, kudos to him for being the first to do it. It was awesome. But you're right, that soccer jersey. Missions
Highlighter, his bull spit, just like everyone else. The last second loss, last possession with no time left. Too true, gut wrenching. And he says, Dolores, bullseye, the hype man, and Stephanie, the bull spit penalties. And Jason Wood says he thinks it's a random draw for yardage. I'm not sure that's true.
I thought you get to decide.
I hope you get to decide. You get to kind of pick your poison. If you want $500, you can go from there. If you want to back up, you can try to do that from farther. But not sure how they do that. My bull spit is just like everybody else's. It's just that feeling, that moment when it's all over, and like they blow the final whistle, and even the challenge flag went down, and there was hope. And then they come out and they say, stands is called, and that's the end. And just the finality of that moment. I hate that feeling. Any sports fan has felt it multiple times, where you lose something in sort of such a gut-wrenching way. I hate that feeling. I'll never like it. And I didn't like it on Saturday night. And what's worse is I've got headphones on and a mic in front of me, so I couldn't even say the things I really wanted to say, that were just wanting to pour out of me. I just had to be quiet. But I was surly for a good solid 12 hours. I get home late at night, and so I run into one of my daughters as I got home, because she was up, getting a midnight snack or whatever, and she's like, did y'all win? And I'm like, no, we lost by 1 point on the last play of the game. And she's like, ew. And she knew not to say anything else to me. But for the next morning, we wake up and my wife has to ask me if we won. And then my other two daughters have to ask me if I won. I'm glad my grandson can't talk yet, so I didn't have to get mad at him and be like, no, leave me alone. They lost, okay? Stop rubbing it in. I'm so tired of talking about this. Oh, it was bad. It was bad. It was a bad
yeah.
feeling, and I know I'm not the only one that felt it, and I'm probably not even the one that felt it the worst. The players and coaches, just heartbreaking, for all of that to go. Had to bite your tongue, yeah, no doubt. And I did. You're right. I should have told them. Y'all should have been watching the game. If you want to know if they win or lose, watch a game.
Yeah.
Don't ask me when I get home. You watch the game. Oh.
Well, before we wrap things up, I wanted to give a shout out to my beautiful and talented daughter, Francesca. She'll be turning 26 on July 7th, and that's going to be before next Monday. So I wanted to give a happy birthday to her. I love you bunches.
Happy birthday, Chessa.
Yeah, absolutely. 26? That doesn't seem right.
I know. But she's going to be 26.
That's crazy. Well, we've got 3 more games. We have 3 more games we know of. We've got 2 of them right here in San Antonio at the Freeman Coliseum. Don't stop now. Don't give up now. Don't throw in the towel and be like, well, I guess, we're not going to make the playoffs, and what's the point? And that's not what it's all about anyway. I mean, it would be fun to make the playoffs. It'd be great to win a championship. One day we will. But we still have 2 opportunities to gather together, to cheer on our teams, to support an organization that has done so much for us as fans and for the football community here in San Antonio. Don't stop now. Keep pushing. Even if, Tucson just goes out there and drops an absolute nightmare of a game against Arizona next week, and it all ends and we're mathematically eliminated. That shouldn't mean a thing. Like, show up, support your team, get behind everybody. Get behind the Gunslingers organization. They've done so much for us. Get behind Coach Tom Manas. Stop talking about getting rid of Tom Manas. Get out of here. Don't do that.
Don't stop believing.
I don't know. Have we ever won a game that they've started playing Don't Stop Believing at, though?
Yeah, probably not.
I don't know.
Yeah. I can't think of one.
Maybe we need to stop that song. I don't know.
We need to find a new one. You're right.
Well, I'm not sure that's working out very well for us. I stopped the whole sports song from Weird Al that I used to play because every time I played it, we lost. So Jason Wood says, I'm already showing up. I already bought my tickets. I'm showing up no matter what happens. Good. Be like Jason. Be like Jason Woods.
Don't let math be the reason you don't go to a game.
Right? How absolutely nerdy do you have to be like, math says I shouldn't go to the football game? That's ridiculous. Don't ever let math decide if you're going to a football game.
Never.
It's crazy. We're the Smoking Guns Podcast. We're a podcast about professional football in San Antonio, where we're brought to you by an incredible group of people who literally support this show with their dollars and cents, with their sweat, and make sure that we can do what we do. Not only put the show on, but send kids to cheer camp with the 6-shooters, or send kids to football camp here in a few weeks with the Gunslingers. The folks that are currently supporting this show in such a wonderful way: Alfred Rodriguez, the Mission Highlighter, who's been hanging out with us tonight; James Palmer, Jay Washington, James Stubing, Kim and Greg Nelson, Mo and Iris Ferrante, and our new but old Patreon supporter who had to drop off recently, and I was kind of bummed, but it happens and it's okay. And today he signed back up and started again. Texas Pete, who just commented. I hope he's still stuck around for us giving him a shout out. Texas Pete, thank you for all you do for the show. We are on all the social media at Smoking Guns Pod. Don't make me say it again. It's Smoking No G, Guns with a Z, P-O-D. And you can find us on social media. You can email the show at smokinggunspod@gmail.com. With all that being said, when it comes to professional football in San Antonio or in anywhere in the nation, whether it's up in Frisco or over in San Diego or Jacksonville, up in Green Bay, they don't want to see us up there, or whether it's against the Massachusetts Pirates, they're the ones coming to town next week. No matter who we're playing against, when it comes to professional football, the 2-0 has got something to say.
Bang, bang.
Oh,
What did I do?
no.
You're laughing really hard.
What
What did I
happened
do?
to that blow?
I'm getting messages that are making me crack up, and I'm
Oh,
trying
no.
not to let it affect me on the show. But apparently, Philip, when you said something earlier, it didn't sound like you said you said sponsor, I guess, or new patron. It's the I had two people say that it sounded like you said something not like that, and it's pretty funny. But no, I'm sure that's what he meant or what he said. It's just the audio. I don't know. But I do want to bring up. I don't know if you saw it earlier, Philip, and I don't know if Jason is still with us. But if he would like an opportunity to sponsor a kid for the football camp, he volunteered during the show. So
awesome.
yeah, message the show after at some point after this, Jason, just so we can get some confirmation if that's. It seemed to me that that's what you were doing, and if you want to do that, we're extremely grateful, and the San Antonio Gunslingers, I'm sure, are grateful. I could speak for them in that regard, and we will make that happen for you as well. We will end up with two young kids being sponsored for the football camp. So
Good night,
absolutely.
y'all. I gotta
Thank
go.
you. Good night, RC.
Okay. Bye,
Sorry about all the
RC.
technology. I just had to hop on my phone, and hopefully it worked out better.
Yeah, it's okay. You got to get some earbuds for your phone because we get a lot of bleed over when that happens.
I'll do that.
Yeah, so Mo just sent me what she thought she heard. That's not what I said, or at least I don't think that's what I said.
Yeah.
I'll check. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. Obviously, download the show like I always beg you to every week as soon as I get posted tonight or tomorrow. You don't have to listen to it again. You can. You're more than welcome. Yeah. but download it if you would, and we will talk to you guys later. Gotta keep winning games. Just gotta win them. That's all there is left.
Control what you can control. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys.
We'll talk to y'all later.